Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about something very relatable, I feel. Have you ever set goals for yourself? If so, then this video could be for you. But most importantly, have you in the past or currently struggled with keeping up with your goals, being successful at your goals, succeeding at your goals? Have you made this New Year's resolutions list that you have not been able to uphold since this year, since the beginning of this year? Many of us have fell off, but don't beat yourself up because you are not alone. I myself have had my fair struggles in keeping up with my goals and keeping my commitment to myself. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a tip or a step that can help you go towards that direction that you want to go, towards the goals that you have set, so that you can have more success than maybe you have in the past. So this tip is going to be something that's going to be a series of different tips that I give in different videos to come. But tip number one, and this isn't the tip for today, but I do want to remind you to give yourself grace. Again, you're going to hear me say this all the time on this channel, reminding you about grace until it's like engraved in your head. I want you to remember not only to give other people grace, but to give yourself grace. Grace in the area where maybe you have fell short, or maybe you have not met to the mark that you have set for yourself. Those goals, those New Year's resolutions list, where is it at right now? Do you still have it in your face, or is it buried in a stack of papers or in notebooks that you have? Have you lost hope in your area of your goals? What are even your goals, right? And I want you to give yourself grace in these areas. Why? Because many of us have fallen short, right? Even the people that we look up to, the people that we see are pretty successful, that we watch on TV, that we admire from afar, they have failed or fallen short with their goals. So I just want to remind you that grace aspect is going to help you. Remember, shame does not promote growth or change. Love does. So as you're figuring it out and as you're making adjustments, give yourself grace. But without further ado, let's get into this first tip. This first tip is very important, right? So let's say that you already have your goal list set out. You have bullet points, the things that you want to do for this year. You have these things that maybe you have been wanting to do for years, right? But you have not done them yet. The first tip that I like to bring to anyone's attention that has helped me is to address the issue as why I have not reached these goals yet, or what's stopping me. One of the first things that I noticed and have noticed in my own personal walk is the identity piece. The identity piece. And what I mean by that is most of us have these beliefs that are kind of faulty. They're kind of like not so good. They're not going to be helpful or beneficial or purposeful for us to proceed to even thinking that we can be successful at these goals, believing that we can actually achieve these goals, right? And the piece of the identity is keeping a lot of us from being able to do the things that we set out in our hearts to do. And when I say identity, I mean who you truly believe that you are behind closed doors. It's easy for us to get in front of a camera, get in front of our family and our friends, our coworkers, and show up as someone who maybe is confident, maybe has it all together, maybe is believing or showing themselves as very smart, right? And maybe you are those things, right? But what do you think about yourself behind closed doors? Are those the same thoughts and beliefs that you have when no one else is around? When you're in the shower, your most sacred place, and you have a lot of alone time? Are those your thoughts? Or is there somewhere in your subconscious mind a belief that could potentially be hindering you from achieving these goals? I'm gonna give you a brief story and just a transparent experience that I have had. So since I was an athlete coming out of high school, there was an underlying belief that, yes, I heard people say I had this potential, I saw glimpses of it, but at the same time, I had this belief in the back of my mind that I could not do things correctly. I did not have what it takes to be successful or fully understand it. Why? We're gonna get into that in a few minutes. But because that was my belief, yes, I was able to do good things in high school, but once I got to college, I could not switch gears. And that's because that belief was still in the back of my mind. I'm not good enough. I'm not going to be able to remember all the plays. I'm not going to be able to meet my coach's expectation because I don't think I can do what they are probably asking me to do, right? And I probably, more than likely, I could have done it. I had the potential to do it, but potential is not enough. And sometimes we have potential that's so high, but those self-inflicting faulty beliefs that we have could be keeping us from doing those things, right? So I have this misconception in my head, and it came from experiences. So maybe your faulty ways of thinking or your belief about yourself that's not so good came from an experience, came from potentially trauma, came from some type of like abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, you name it. You know where yours came from. Mine came from the years of being in grade school. There's the word, grade school, and struggling with different things in my schooling, not passing the CRCT, struggling in math to understand or grasp what is actually going on, misspelling words, not being able to read as fast as other people, and then being able to be around people that are telling me that, what is wrong with you? Why aren't you as smart as so-and-so? You're not going to be able to be successful at this. You're not doing enough. You're not enough because you're not able to do this. You're not meeting the criteria. Boom. That's where this belief has come from that has been keeping me, right? And so there's a belief and an experience that could be attached to why you were thinking this way. So because I listened to those people, right? And because I had those experiences where I am struggling in school, and now that I've gotten older, I realized more and more, yes, maybe I struggled in school, but I also was dealing with a type of trauma that I was trying to process at a young age. A child was trying to process some trauma, right? And when you are processing trauma, it can hurt your capability to fully understand things. It can decrease your capability of just doing things that you normally would do, right? So I'm dealing with the trauma, I'm dealing with trying to process it, and now I'm dealing with someone telling me, you're not going to be able to be successful, comparing me to other people that are around me. You're not smart enough. You're not smart like so-and-so. Why can't you be like this person, right? And as these things are being said to me, and you say these things to children, this is why I'm very picky at times with what I allow come out my mouth and what I allow other people to say about children, because especially to them, because children do not know how to separate what is actually their reality as opposed to someone's projected insecurity or just misplaced words, right? That's why I'm very picky and a stickler about making sure that I speak life into children when I'm working with them, because the moment that you speak that ill or that negative sentence to them, right, it can plant into their minds. It can become a seed in their minds, and then they can take it on as their identity, because as children, you're not really fully able to comprehend and separate what is me and what is not me. And so as I'm being told this as a child, right, I'm like taking it in as my identity. This is who I am. I'm someone who can't get it together. I'm someone who tries things and I fail at them. I'm someone who is not enough, who is not like so-and-so. There's this seed of comparison, comparing myself to other people and then not doing stuff that potentially I could very well do, right? And so as I gotten older, I realized that there was a underlying belief that I had about myself that was keeping me from going after the things that God has placed in my heart that I found interesting, and I had to deal with this. So the first tip is really diving into, who do you believe you are? What are those beliefs in the back of your mind? What are you telling yourself when no one is around? Is it actually good things? If it's not, it's okay, because we have all faced and dealt with different things, right? And maybe you have had someone project their own insecurities onto you and you have taken it as your identity because you didn't know better. And that too is okay, because it's not too late for you to reverse it or change it or just see yourself in a different light, like I have been able to. Because of that belief that I had in myself that was underlying, anytime I set out to do something, I was already 2 steps behind, because I was already counting myself out. Because in my mind, it felt like there was something hindering me, and that was my belief in myself, my identity. Who has poured into your identity? Who is poured into it now? Who do you actually believe that you are? Are you really believing that you are capable of doing these goals? If you are setting out to lose weight, are you someone who has this goal on their list, but in the back of their mind, they're like, I can't be consistent? That's something I have heard a lot of people say. I can't be consistent. You can be consistent. You just have been being consistent in the wrong areas of your life. But you can be consistent in the good areas as just as much as you are in the not so good areas, right? But if you are setting out a goal to budget, right? But you have this self-belief and this misconception of yourself, or this identity that you have put on yourself that I'm not actually good with money, right? This is going to continue to keep you in the spiral of these bad habits. We want to spiral up. We don't want to spiral down, right? So when we have these underlying beliefs and we're not addressing them, we can set out to do anything that we want to do, but we're going to seem like we keep running into a roadblock. And that roadblock is whatever you're telling yourself behind closed doors, subconsciously, that no one knows about. So I want you to take this first step very seriously, because this is going to be the first step that helps you to either push forward and excel, or stay in the same place, or go downward, spiral downward. Check your identity, check your belief about yourself. Understand where this belief even come from, because sometimes we have these things go on in our mind and they're attached to different experiences that we don't want to think about, because potentially we can relive them. Potentially we might feel different sensations in our body, right? But that's what happens when we have these different experiences, whether they were traumatic or just uncomfortable experiences that have shaped us. When we try to think about them, it's uncomfortable, but it's also making our lives uncomfortable because we're unable to really fully address it. We're not really able to reframe those thoughts. So I want to encourage you to keep that goal list, keep it in your face, but take this first step very seriously. Ask yourself, who do I really believe that I am? Who do I really, behind closed doors, see myself as? Do I see myself as someone being successful? Is there an underlying belief that I'm not good enough, that I can't save money, that I'm not good with money, that I can't be consistent at eating healthier or taking better care of myself, that I'm not lovable, so I shouldn't go after new friendships or new relationships, or even pour myself into those relationships that I have now? What is that belief that could potentially be holding you back? So that's step number one. This is going to help us excel. Once we get this down, it has helped me tremendously over the last couple of months to be able to look myself in the mirror and say, my identity lines up with the Word of God. This is who God says I am, therefore this is who I am. So I can operate as her. I had to deal with the things and the experiences that caused me to think like that, and it was uncomfortable. I'm not even gonna lie to you. There was tears, there were some angry moments at myself and at other people, because you ask yourself these questions like, why would they do that to me? Why did I allow myself to go through that, right? And then that's where forgiving yourself is gonna come in as most importantly. And maybe it's something that you didn't have any control over, but what we have control over now is our decisions and how we think and perceive about ourselves now. That can very well change. I used to think like, this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be. And it was keeping me in a place where I wasn't at my fullest potential. I'm still not at my fullest potential, but honey, I'm higher, right? I had a teammate one time tell me, Bree, you're very talented. You have a lot of potential, but potential doesn't mean anything right now because you're not bringing it out. And so I had to really address what was keeping me from not being my best self in the season of life that I'm in. So first things first, check your identity. Who has poured into your identity? Who has contributed to how you think and perceive and believe towards yourself? That belief that you have for yourself. And when you figure out that you have some of these identities, right, that may be a little bit faulty, I want you to remember to give yourself grace. Take a breath, write them down, figure out the root of them, and then just sit them there. Sit them there, because this is going to open a door for you to see like, okay, this isn't all my fault, but I do have some control now because I have become more aware of this, and now I'm able to address it, and now you are no longer holding me back. you no longer have a chain pulling me back. That belief that I was not good enough no longer has a hold on me, because I had to figure out what is stopping me. And once I figured it out and then pinpointed the experiences, it has helped me to break free from it. And it's a process. And I always say you have to find joy and love and contentness in the process. It's going to have its ups and downs, but it is more uncomfortable to stay in a place that is no longer serving you, a way of thinking, an actual place, a relationship, than to branch out and then open yourself up. You go through that period where it's uncomfortable and it's kind of painful, but then you open yourself up to new horizons. And so that's what I want you to do. Check your belief system. First things first, and let's get to these goals and let's be successful at them together, right? Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let's be a part of the family. We are in this together. There's probably nothing that we will be able to talk about that we can't relate with somebody on this channel, right? But you guys have a great day.